Hey yo! This will be the last video that I'll ever make on the Disney Channel Mount Rushmore, or any Mount Rushmore for that matter. So last night I read a recent Substack post from Christy Carlson Romano. You know, Ren from Even Stevens, the voice of Kim Possible, Disney Channel icon. In this post, she gave a very interesting perspective on the entire Disney Channel Mount Rushmore discussion, and it's a perspective that, in all honesty, I can't help but agree with. I mean, sure, she may have baited us by leading us to believe that she was going to address why she feels that Shia LaBeouf doesn't belong on the Disney Channel Mount Rushmore, but we read it, didn't we? Nevertheless, reading that post also helped me to, I guess, put myself in check and reevaluate the part that I played in, I guess, contributing to everybody missing a very important point in this entire conversation. I want to read for you all this part in particular that really encompasses the point of her entire sentiment. If the Mount Rushmore has to exist, then everyone should be on it. Or no one. Because the moment you make a list of 4, you've already decided whose childhood counts more than someone else's. You've handed back to a corporation the power to define worth retroactively. So I'm not interested in debating who belongs on the mountain. I'm interested in giving a hug to whoever got left out of the conversation entirely. End quote. Even if you didn't read her entire post, that part right there is crystal clear in the point that she's trying to make. I get it. Mount Rushmore conversations are fun and silly, but we kind of got to pay attention to what we're doing and how we're doing it. In my last video about the subject, I tried to make the point that when it comes to these Mount Rushmore conversations, objectivity has to be in the room, and selections can't be made based on personal bias. Because a lot of the times, that's what these conversations end up being about anyways. People basing their personal biases, their personal opinions, their personal connections as to why they feel that a certain person or show or whatever it is should be on a Mount Rushmore. For me, I was genuinely being objective, and my selections were based on the fact that those shows are the foundation for what the Disney Channel would become, to where we would get the Hannah Montanas, the Sweet Lives, the Wizards of Waverly Places, the High School Musicals. Hell, one of my selections, which I've detailed in a previous video, is the foundation for the 3 other selections on that Mount Rushmore. But in me trying to make that point, and even in me trying to be objective, I made an argument as to why somebody like Brenda Song shouldn't or wouldn't be on a Mount Rushmore, which, to Christy's point, was helping to serve the Disney machine by defining Brenda Song's worth retroactively. As Christy pointed out in her post, a lot of what we saw on the Disney Channel was strictly business. It was a marketing strategy. It was industry politics. I said in my last video that we should be talking about Disney Channel Mount Rushmores and Disney Channel Big Threes the same way that we talk about anime. And I said that we should be talking about Brenda Song the same way that we talk about Scottie Pippen. So how's about one more comparison? We should be talking about Disney Channel the same way we talk about professional wrestling. Because if you really think about it, the Disney Channel is a lot like the WWE. Mickey Mouse McMahon would place these young, talented, hardworking individuals in certain programs and certain projects to test audience reception. If we popped for them, they got the push. And as they grabbed that proverbial brass ring, the company would throw all their resources behind them, capitalize off their momentum, and profit off their success. Like, why do you think you saw certain actors in multiple projects? Why do you think there was an influx of double threat performers on the channel? Like, do you think it's a coincidence that High School Musical aired January of 2006, then 3 months later, the first episode of Hannah Montana airs with a cameo from Corbin Bleu? Then a year later, Corbin Bleu gets his own DCOM with a song to go with it. And then High School Musical 2 comes out that same year, and at the end of the movie, there's a Hannah Montana cameo. I think I'm getting a little too ahead of myself, but you get what I'm trying to say. It's all a machine. It's all marketing. It's all a work. Constantly having these debates and discussions over who belongs on these Mount Rushmores is kind of dehumanizing to these stars who were already being exploited during their young, impressionable, and formative years. And I can't believe that in this entire conversation, this was a point that I missed, given the fact that last year I made an entire video on why teen media doesn't exist, and I expressed empathy for these stars for the way that they were commodified by the industry. But most importantly, and again to Christy's point, a lot of the time these conversations tend to become very dismissive to other people's preferences and experiences. Nostalgia isn't history. It doesn't preserve history. It edits it subjectively. What people are usually defending isn't history at all. It's how they felt as kids, end quote. In my last video, despite me being objective, I ended it off saying, Dog with a Blog is not going on no Disney Channel Mount Rushmore. Stop it. But Dog with a Blog probably matters to a generation of people who, for them, that was their prime Disney Channel. Just like how there's people who bring up shows like The Jersey and So Weird and In a Heartbeat, because for them, that was their prime Disney Channel and it matters to them. Just like how it upsets me and evidently Christy as well when people leave Lee Thompson Young and The Famous Jet Jackson out of these conversations, because he matters. His show matters. His legacy, his memory matters. And you know what? The craziest thing about this entire situation is that when Raven originally said what she said, there was a section of the internet that felt that Raven was hating on Miley. So then it subsequently turned the conversation about about Miley or whoever else they felt deserved to be mentioned. And that both simultaneously missed and made the point as to why Raven even felt the need to mention Lee Thompson Young's name in the first place, who, as I just said, always gets left out of these conversations, always gets left out of these celebrations and tributes by the Disney machine itself, because essentially that's the product that a lot of their mainstream consumer base either overlook, ignore, or have forgotten about entirely in favor of the ones that are popular, the ones that they wanted us to make popular, the ones who got all the books and the toys and the video games and the clothes. I literally had to go to T-shirt time to get this made years ago. So yes, while I still sort of stand by the sentiment that Mount Rushmore conversation should be rooted in objectivity and maybe even the desire to put things in its proper historical context, I also agree with Christy Carlson Romano and that maybe these kind of conversations, especially when it pertains to Disney Channel and Nickelodeon, don't need to be had at all. That is, however, until Hilary Duff's Hot Ones episode drops and you know she's going to be asked about her take on the Disney Channel Mount Rushmore, and whatever she says is going to cause the debate and conversation and everything to continue. But I don't know. Like I said in my last video, I'm just a schmuck with a microphone. I'm no mortal man. Maybe I'm just another